Good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are across the world. Good evening. I'm back. I'm a minute late. Was scrambling. Glad to be here again. Um, I was scrambling because today I have my school started again. So I've been going back to school for 5 years now, basically since I escaped my marriage, started my new life, and so I went back to school, right? Because I actually really like school. I got my first bachelor's degree eons ago, um, in history. I think that was 1996. Yay me! And that took me 10 years to get that, right? And so then when I was going to start over, I thought, well, I'll go back and get a second bachelor's degree. Well, first I went to get my master's, but it was way, God, my phone always rings right when I log on. So don't get that. They'll call back. Um, anyway, I went to get my master's degree, and then, and that was too expensive. And I couldn't do it. So someday I'll do that again. But anyway, now I'm getting my second bachelor's degree in women and gender studies because my first degree was in history, or what I call history of men, because that's all I learned about in 4 years of history was the history of men, usually white men. So I thought, okay, well, this is what I do as a writer. I'm all about women's issues and empowering women and so forth. So I thought, well, I'm going to go get a bachelor's degree in women and gender studies. So it's been super fun. But I'm a little, I'm kind of like when you're in the 8th month of labor, you're like, hey, we're pretty much done. I want to birth this baby. So the good news is that in December, I'm graduating. So I will have 2 bachelor's degrees come this December at the age of 51. First one in my family to even get 1 degree, like out of both everybody. So I'm super pumped about that. And of course, I have a super good GPA, like almost 4.0. I typically get, well, like an A minus. Not really happy about that, but that's because I'm just a dork and I'm a total school nerd. That's all. There's no other explanation. So, okay, we're here today together again. I didn't get the links ready for everything at the end, but we'll do that at the end for telling you what's going on here. Okay, so also I'm going to cut down on saying so and right. I'm going to try new words in there, like maybe right on or therefore. I'm gonna work it in there. And I was just about to say So okay, today, well, first let me introduce myself again for those of you. This is day 8 of my 30-day Facebook Lives. I'm Susanna. Obviously, that's my name. You can see it right there. I am a narcissist recovery coach helping one woman at a time get over her ex for good. And if you're new to this, if you're new to my Facebook Lives, there's already an unspoken agreement between all of us that when we say for good, we mean for good, like forever. There's no doubt, there's no question. It's just, we're done. Okay. I'm not going to say let's get started with, today we're talking about red flags. But we're gonna take it a step further. We're gonna talk about those red flags and how to turn them into deal breakers. And what I mean by that is that, so somebody posted a funny meme on my post today about red flags, and there's a There's a picture of like a yard full of red flags, right? Because any of us who have been in a relationship with a narcissist, we have, my way, what I always say is I had enough red flags to, supply a communist parade. We all have tons and tons of red flags when we're looking back. What we want to do is we want to turn those into deal breakers for future relationships or for, the present moment and moving forward. And what I mean by that is we don't gather red flags anymore, because people show you who they are when you meet them, right? It's up to us if we're not going to believe them or not. Okay, so when I'm looking back on my relationship and how I got into how I was love bombed and gaslighted and all of that, how I just got into that, which is my eyes squeezed shut, like I'm on a roller coaster, right? I'm just like, I'm not paying attention to the red flags. I'm not paying attention. And there's red flags like all the time from day one from when I met him, right? That's why it's really important to look back. And there's a point in your recovery and healing that you will be able to look back. It's not going to be easy. When I first started looking back on the relationship itself, how it started, how it progressed, you get the picture. It was right on. You know what I'm saying? It was difficult. It was a kick in the ass. It was a slap in the face, because I felt really stupid, right? That's the first reaction I had when I looked back at, I mean, right away, there were red flags. So I didn't pay attention to them. So when I first started looking back, when I first started the recovery and healing journey, it was a kick in the ego. First of all, you have to do this with you got to get rid of, I mean, I didn't have much ego to begin with, but whatever shred I had was gone, was ripped out of me. Because when you go back, you can't have any ego when you're looking at, you have to look at it with a combination of not holding any judgment or blame on yourself. And that's hard, right? Because I looked back, when I first looked back on what I did, or what I saw as, this is in the beginning, right? I don't think this now, but how I saw all the things I did wrong by not recognizing red flags, by not standing up for myself, by not being smarter, by not being better, stronger, all of that stuff. I beat myself up really badly. I spent a lot of time just feeling like shit and embarrassed. Like I didn't even want to look at the mirrors in my home because I didn't want to look at my sorry self, right? So when we look back on those red flags, that's going to come up when you first do it. So, but it's really important, because when you go through the process first of, okay, I'm going to forgive myself, because remember, we don't know what we don't know. Okay, so as you're going through this journey, and with all of you with a narcissist, like we were talking about, learning the terms about narcissistic abuse and so forth and so on, when you know, then you can do better, right? But if, like back then, I was in the dark. I didn't have any boundaries. I didn't even know what a boundary was when I met my ex at the age of 29. I thought it was just, when you cross over into California, there's a boundary, there's a state boundary line. That's what I thought a boundary was. I had no clue as to. So that opened the door for all kinds of crazy to walk in. So when I'm looking back at all these red flags, it makes perfect sense, right? I wasn't, if I'm honest with myself, my intuition, that girl I used to be, my gut instinct, that was all still there and functioning. I just ignored it. Totally ignored her. Made her go sit in the corner, didn't listen to her for about 20 years. So, hello, Italy again. That's where we are with red flags. Turning them into deal breakers means that, so back then, you can look and see, okay, there were those 20 red flags I missed. okay, or ignored, or whatever it is. It doesn't matter. There's no blame or shame. There's no judgment. It just is what it is. It's like 2 + 2 = 4. You had 20 red flags back here that you didn't listen to them and or acknowledge them, and then therefore things happened after that, right? Things progressed after that. But this isn't, take out the blame and shame when you're doing this, because that's not going to help you. It's not going to help anybody. And you're not to be blamed, okay? It's not your fault. When you go into a relationship and you don't know anything except all people are inherently good, right? This is what I'm speaking from my own perspective. All people are inherently good. Nobody would ever hurt me on purpose. He loves me, blah, 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 right? So, and somebody's playing a game with you on purpose, and somebody's, you know, manipulating you and deceiving you on purpose with the intent to control you so that they can continue their abuse or carry out their abuse, right? So it's not your fault. But when we're first looking back at those red flags, it is tough. I will say, it's tough. It's humbling, but it will empower you and strengthen you to never make those same mistakes again. So a red flag turning into a deal breaker is, you know, you have the 20 red flags of he lied, he did this, there was something this, blah, 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 you know, just all these little things that add up that we excuse. So nowadays, for example, I don't offer red flags. There's no red flags in my life, none. There's just a deal breaker, period. Because I strongly believe that people will show me who they are right away. So if I find out something about them, that they lied, cheat, steal, whatever, you know, this goes on all levels with all relationships, okay, then it's just a deal breaker. It's no big deal. It's just like, no, no, I don't have time for this, because now I have boundaries. So red flags, we all have a million stories of red flags. I'm going to share mine in the beginning with the understanding that nobody in this wonderful, beautiful group is going to judge me, because I was already there. I already judged myself. I was already judge, jury. I hung and convicted myself a long time ago for, because when I tell you these red flags, you're going to be like, well, you probably won't. But like, there's some other people who don't understand what it's like to be in a narcissist. They're the ones with all the judgment, right? They're in the glass houses throwing stones and saying, how could you be so stupid? Right? We don't know, just, they don't matter. Don't, just ignore them. They don't know what they're talking about. They're in their glass house, right? They don't, or throw the stone right back at them. Give them a reality check. Okay, red flag. Oh my God. Yeah, there are some good ones. When understanding of where I was coming from, and this is definitely a topic we're going to cover, is how did I get from here to there? How did I get from my 17-year-old self, who didn't even have a boyfriend for longer than like a week or two, because I was just having fun, and I didn't, you know, the minute a boy, I had super high standards. Like, you could not do nothing. I wouldn't put up with anything, because my standards were so high for how I was to be treated. I don't know how this happened when I was, you know, in high school. I don't know why, because in junior high, I was totally the opposite. I was pathetic, braces, I weighed 90 pounds wet. Oh my God, you get the picture. But anyway, this is who I was. 17, like, if a boy, if I didn't like his toes in his flip-flop, you know, if he had ugly toes, I'm like, no, dude, like, I can't. Who can be married to that? Those toes. No, we're not dating. Okay, how did I go from there to out of high school into my first marriage, which was soon after high school, in that, you know, very short period of time, into that first abusive relationship, then leaving that, not even divorced yet, when I'm 29 years old, not even divorced yet. I have a son, who is, I think he was like 4 or 5 at the time, trying to start a new life because I had been through emotional hell and was, dive right in, meet my second husband on the dance floor, literally lifts me off my feet. I mean, he was Latin and we did salsa. That's really hard to say no to. Anyway, that's gonna be a whole separate topic of how the hell did that happen? Because if you would have seen me at age 17, those of you who know me from high school, you would have been like, what? Like, where is Suzanne? Where did she go? Red flags. I'm just going to talk about my second. What we don't know. Like I said on another one of these a few days ago, I call him Vader sometimes because I have a hard time finding a word, but I do actually kind of like Darth Vader, so that's not working for me. So I need to find. We were, I'm not going to say we. I'm not going to tell on anybody. I was thinking, I'll take full responsibility of, sometimes using Voldemort, he who must not be named. Anyway, you figure it out. You all probably have much better ideas of what to call them. Red flags. So again, I'm not even divorced, right? I moved out of state I was living in Arizona at the time, and I moved to Colorado Springs because a friend, took me and my son in. It was so sweet to take us in until I got back on my feet. So I was looking around for jobs. Now I had a history degree. I don't know. What do you do with that, And I had grown up in the restaurant business and I had to own my own restaurant. So what was I qualified for? To be like a really intelligent waitress who could spout off, historical facts about the Civil War. I don't know what I could have done. So what I do, I decided, well, my friend suggested, hey, since you're using this time to sort of explore and, you're starting your life over, why don't you do something you've always wanted to do? So what did I do? I went to go take dance lessons. And then that's when the ball started rolling and I go take dance lessons. Vader was my teacher. My ex was my teacher. My second husband was my teacher. No attraction. He used to hate it when I would tell this story. No physical attraction whatsoever. There were just things about him that were just, no, I wasn't attracted. And I wasn't even sure he was straight, to be honest. Now, I want to apologize for that because I was operating on a set of stereotypes, right, for what straight and gay men look like. That's bullshit. I've learned that now. So I apologize for that. But at the time, I wasn't sure. But anyway, I wasn't interested because I wasn't attracted to him. Well, so I'm taking lessons. Then they got too expensive. They asked me to apprentice. I apprenticed. We become dance partners. This is all within a super short period of time. And all of a sudden, I shared the story with some of you when we were talking about the day we were talking about love bombing, where like we weren't even dating yet, and he had made a mixtape for me and told me to listen to it. And it was Bryan Adams. When you really love a woman, you can see your unborn children in her eyes. This is like, I knew him like a month at this point. But anyway, he could, and his relentless and dogged pursuit of me made him more attractive to me, okay? Because he was so just like over the top. And again, we talked all about this in the love bombing. Super passionate, super just like, oh my God, it was just a tidal wave of passion and love, what I thought was love. So in the midst of this tidal wave, red flags. Well, he had a girlfriend who was at the studio that we worked at. Okay, so She was a little bit younger, and so that was his girlfriend. But he had just, when he started like pursuing me, he had broken up with her. Then I found out that while he was dating this girl, he was also screwing around with the other female teacher who was married to his close friend who was also a teacher. We're all teachers. So here's this married couple, they're teachers, right? And here's the girlfriend. She's a teacher. I'm a teacher. And he is messing around behind his friend's back with his close friend's wife. We all work together day after day teaching, okay? Every day. So he's like putting on the charade of, yeah, nobody knew but me. It started way back then. I was a secret keeper way back then. Anyway, not only that, but this couple that he was screwing around with wife, he was their kid's godparent. No, it gets better. He'd go to church with them. He's screwing the wife. Not, his girlfriend doesn't know. The wife's husband doesn't know. I think he kind of suspected because I think something was, anyway, I knew. So when we started dating, of course, I found this out, and then he's like, oh, now you're the only one, and like I told you with the love bombing, you know, he's like, oh, you make me such a better man. I did such a terrible thing. I'm so embarrassed. I'll never do that again, blah, 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 blah. Okay, huge red flag, people. This goes for anybody. It doesn't matter, narcissist or not. If you're going to be the other person, if somebody's cheating on their wife, husband, no, that's deal breaker. See? I didn't see that. Smaller red flags. Well, not smaller. They're just red flags, right? Okay, this is kind of funny. So he had an alias. I can tell that story because I don't see how it's private. So anyway, he had an alias. So where he was teaching, he was working under his real name, but from where he had come from, in order to, there's a reason people live under aliases to be in this country, and that's what I'll say about that. Anyway, he was living under an alias, and then when he went to introduce me to his mother, that's how he said, I'm going to introduce you to my mother. Okay, two things happened, and I'm laughing because I used to cry about this. I used to be like, yeah, this used to be, I'm laughing now because it's absurd. I have to laugh at myself at how absurd this is of this is so awesome though. This is why I'm sharing it, because I want to open up all my mistakes and just stupid shit I did and believed, and I want you all to hear that for a couple reasons. The first being that all the mistakes and stupid shit that you do when you're in an abusive relationship with a narcissist is okay. You're gonna get to a point where you can look back and laugh at this with your friends, right? That's where I'm at. That's why you see me laughing instead of crying, because I did all that in the beginning years ago. Okay, so I'm going to meet his mom, and then as we're going over there, he mentions, and I don't know about his alias at this point. Okay, so he happens to mention, I don't know if we were on the way over there or, and he's like, well, it's not exactly my mom. And then I started feeling sorry for him, and I'm thinking, oh my God, his mom's dead, and maybe he was adopted or something. No. So it's not, it's his surrogate mom, right, that he's been calling mom from when he was a teenager. Okay, still special story. He found somebody who was motherly too. Okay, great. It was still a red flag because then I had to ask, he didn't volunteer this information, that, because I had assumed his mom had either abandoned him or she died or, something like that. So I didn't have this information. So that was a red flag Because then I found out that his mom was alive and well. Alive and well. And he had a relationship with her and everything. So I'm not discounting, you know, this was great that he had this other maternal figure in his life. It was healthy. She was awesome, right? That was all great. That's a red flag for me. Then the real red flag came when I went over and they were calling him Ronnie, which is kind of funny because it rhymes with the name of my first husband. You know, I swear, people, this is all the universe. It's just all, it's all connected. It's just the universe being like, okay, Suzanne, we're gonna throw it all at you and see if you can, when the hell you're gonna figure this out. So they were calling him Ronnie, and I'm like, who the fuck is Ronnie? So I'm not gonna say his real name. Never have, never will. But anyway, I can say Ronnie because it was a fake name. Okay, so there was Ronnie. That was a red flag. This was from his previous life when the phone is ringing again. That's crazy. This is from his previous life when before he met me. So he had moved to where I was in Colorado. He had moved there a few years before I did, with this going back to his original name, and living there with his other mom, surrogate mom, whatever we want to call her. Okay, not living with her, but close by. Okay, so his old life, these are red flags that I am discovering at a very quick pace when we are developing, when we're dating and starting our relationship. This is all happening very quickly. At the same time, I'm learning about the details of the wife he was cheating on. And by the way, she's still, because so the not the girlfriend he was dating or had been dating before me, who he'd broken up with, but the wife who he was cheating on or cheating with, she would, when she, because he had told her no more because I was in the picture now. So she would leave like cryptic messages on his phone, like play songs, you know, like that. Remember that song, I'm missing you, nobody knows it but me? And she left a message one time, this song, and I'm like, I know. It's not just you that knows. I know. Okay, so I'm finding this out at a very quick rate, and this is a constant. I actually would keep breaking up with him because I wasn't really that attached to him yet, because we and again, it was so fast that there wasn't that like I would be 5 years later or whatever. So I kept breaking up with him and saying, this is ridiculous. I keep finding stuff out about you, but then he would love bomb and get his way back in, and I'd be like, oh my God, okay, look. The poor guy, he's just made all these mistakes, and then thankfully I came into his life to save him, right? He was so lucky he had me. So this life he had left behind before coming to where I was, along with the alias, along with the mother situation that okay, all right, I'm still trying to catch up with all that at this time. Trying to get all the details of how long he was cheating, Then I found out he was the godfather, the godparent, and went to church with them. So all these details. I'd break up with them, then he'd come to my apartment late at night after work and just cry and beg me and, all of that. So another reason, another red flag, huge red flag, like this is a huge red flag. You know when you go like to a car dealership and you see those huge flags flying above? You know how big those suckers are? This is that big. This red flag is that big. The reason he moved to Colorado is because he was fired from his position as a manager. What was he fired for, you ask? For sexually harassing another employee. Okay, now here's me back then when I'm 30 years old. 21 years, here's me. Believing his excuses of, this is how he explained it, is that she was the one flirting with him, and he didn't want to cross that line as a manager, and she was an employee, but she was persistent, because you know how us women can be. We just don't take no for an answer. And then, you know, then he started flirting back, and then to punish him, or I forget what her motive is. Again, this is the excuse that I forget what he said her motive is, but anyway, she retaliated, and yeah. So the Me Too movement is full of guys like this, right? Of people like the girl he harassed coming out against guys like this. And guess what? I married this guy. Just like I told you guys yesterday that I married the pervert. I did. I had red flag after red flag after red flag. It was crazy. It was crazy. And I believed everything that because he had such a great way of excusing it. But even if I wasn't totally buying it, the thing is he would always fall back on, I was such a horrible person before you came along. Because I'm so, you know, I can do that. I can save you. That's how he hooked me. That's how he kept me there. So the reason that, hello Canada, the reason that all these red flags that I kept, you know, just letting them collect all around me in my life, where, you know, you couldn't even find me, because I've just disappeared. I'm just swallowed up by all the red flags. This never stopped. So when I say red flag, from the moment that I met him, right? It just never stopped. Never stopped. Nowadays, like I said, I don't have red flags. I don't give them out anymore. I don't collect them. I don't allow them in my space, in my yard. There's none. There's zero. There's only a deal breaker, one deal breaker, period. And that would have happened, you know, if at the time back then, that deal breaker would have happened the moment I found out that he's screwing around. Like, just everything was the worst about it. It's not just that he's screwing around with a married woman, right? Outside, somewhere else. He's just, all the facts about it was that we're all working together, right? And his girlfriend at the time was just this younger than me, super sweet, like super sweet girl, super innocent, even more than me, just crazy at the time. Just a really sweet girl, you know, and the fact that doing this, and then to his friend, and then he's a godparent, and then going into church, Lordy, how can this will show you, right? So here's what I suggest if you're in the recovery and healing journey, okay? It's super important to go back. This is dependent on your full recovery and emotional freedom. In order to get emotional freedom, you have to find out what went wrong, okay? You have to find out how you got into that space, and what were the warning signs. It's important that you be really honest with yourself, as I was at the time. It's super hard because it's embarrassing, right? I was really embarrassed with the stuff that I accepted. But it's necessary, because when I was able to do that, and then eventually get to the place like where I am today, where I'm emotionally detached to what happened to me back then, so I don't you know, I don't beat myself up anymore. I have forgiven myself. That's another topic. Forgiveness. We'll talk about that. That's another topic. That's a good one. It's not what you think it is. So be excited because like me, forgiveness used to strike fear into my heart because of what I thought it meant. But there's good news. So we're going to cover that topic. Looking back on those red flags with your heart open, with humility, you know, because you are going to get your ass kicked when you look back honestly. And then once you move past the self-blame and guilt, which is totally unnecessary, uncalled for, just you got to love yourself through it. Here's what I tell the women that I work with all the time, because we all go through the same thing. Here's what I tell them. Think of your most beloved person in your life, okay? Whether it's your friend, child, whoever it is, your most beloved that you would do anything for, right? Think of them. If they did what you did, if they made all those mistakes and, you know, how would you talk to them? You would not say, my God, woman, what were you thinking? That was really stupid. You would not say that. You'd say that to yourself, but you wouldn't say it to your most beloved. You would be there and be empathetic and have patience and understanding with no judgment. You'd say, hey, you didn't know, honey, right? You didn't know. How could you have known? So it's okay. You learned your lesson. You learned your mistakes. You're moving on. That's how you would talk to your most beloved. That's how you need to talk to yourself. That's how you need to talk to yourself through this. Let me just read this comment. Yes, Sarah is saying we tend to not judge the person who has all the red flags. That's why we believe he is a good person doing bad things. Yes, it ties into this going back to all people are inherently good. Okay? Some people aren't. Some people are cheaters and liars, and you know, and it's a matter of, is this who you want to be with? They're showing you who they are. You want to tolerate this? And this is another topic that we'll talk about. Why don't you think more of yourself? These are questions I would ask my younger self. Why didn't I think more of myself? Why didn't I have self-worth and self-esteem to not accept that behavior? This doesn't mean that there's a big, you know, like nowadays, for me, there's no big confrontation. This isn't an anger thing. It's just very like, you know, like the ride and It's a Small World at Disneyland. That's how my life is now. So even if red flags, you know, if a red flag pops up, it's like, no, just float on by. Deal breaker, no, you show me who you are. If you're a liar or a cheater or a narcissist, I'm not interested. But good luck on your journey. You just can't be in my boat because I'm enjoying this ride. You know, it can be as simple as that. We don't have to like stand up on the mountaintop and beat our chest and say, well, we don't even have to judge. This is something you can do. It's not even like you don't even have to judge that person. You know, it's just they're showing you who they are. Okay, so the topic that we want to, and again with red flags, move them into deal breakers. But the next topic, and maybe that's what we should do tomorrow, is how did we get here? How did I get, like I said, from age 17, where my standards were sky high, to a couple years later, and boom, I was in 2 abusive marriages that lasted till I was 45 years old. How did that shit happen? Well, I know now. I know, and I'm going to share it with you. Still not an easy topic. None of this is, because we have to really get honest with ourselves. That honesty does not include self-blame and shame. That's not what I mean. And it doesn't mean you deserved it. I didn't deserve it, but that's not the point. The point is not that I didn't, the fact is that I didn't deserve the way I was to be treated the way that I was. I didn't deserve that. Nobody does. But so that's the fact, but that's not the point, right? We can't spend any time there, because that's not the point. The point is that I was there. The point is that I did put up with it, right? And I did stay, and and there are reasons for that. It still doesn't mean that I did anything wrong. It still doesn't mean that there's something wrong, inherently wrong with me, but there are reasons. And again, I go back to, I look at everything with a mathematical perspective, which is super funny, because if you look at it, I was just correcting the AC guy with my mom the other day, because he was doing some financing numbers, and I'm like, no, I'm doing this in my head. He's using his computer. I'm like, no, you're wrong. He's like, no, I'm right. I'm like, no, you're wrong. He's like, no, I'm right. And I'm like, no, you're wrong. Check it. He's like, oh, wow, thanks for pointing that out. This is funny, people. I do think mathematically. Now, if anybody could tell Mr. Wirtz from 11th grade, Coconino High School algebra, I hated algebra. I hated math. Anyway, I digress. But the point is, I mean, here's the thing about algebra. Why do we have to learn word problems? Those are so stupid. Like, why weren't we learning how to balance a checkbook, or what happens with credit card interest payments, instead of trying to figure out, this train leaves the station at 2 o'clock in Philadelphia, and this train leaves, and when are they going to meet? Who the fuck cares? Get on the train that you need to get whatever. Who cares? So I used to give Mr. Wiz all sorts of hell for, I wasn't going to do them. I'm really good at math. I look back at everything as a mathematical equation. What doesn't add up? That's what you need to figure out. What doesn't add up in this equation? That's all I do. I look back, so I look at the red flags, and I'm like, this doesn't add up. The fact that I went from 17 and being like this with guys to being 20 years old and into my first abusive marriage, it doesn't add up. So I had to go back and do the math. Let's do that tomorrow. Yes, Trish, she's already on. She's already on to me. Yes, my dad. Thanks, Dad. Thanks, Dad. Okay, people, let me, I'm getting the links for you, because we are, Chris Godinez and I, we go around the country. I've told you a bit about this, but for you who is new today, we go around and speak to groups of people. We're going to be in about all things narcissists, and Chris Godinez, if you don't know who she is, know her. Like, find her, know her. She's on Facebook. She's everywhere. She's got a YouTube channel. She does shows every Sunday. She's freaking amazing. So we're talking all things narcissist, and we're going to be, oh, I keep saying September 13th. Sorry, it's Saturday, September 14th in Reno. I know these things go quickly, because there's only a handful of tickets. Copy. I can't talk and paste at the same time. Because there's only a handful of tickets available, because it's a very small group. We want to keep it that way. We want to keep it small, so that you can, when you come, and you know, it's you can be anonymous if you want to, and come into our safe fold, and we will be there for you to support you and listen to your story, and you know, be your yes, Sarah, Chris is amazing. She's so amazing. If you have a problem with swearing, go see somebody about that, because you need to get over it around Chris. I did pretty well today. I mean, I I love to swear. I told you why the other day. Okay, so there's that. Then if you would like to go to my website and get a copy of, no, sorry. Yes, go to my website. So I've been telling you that I don't have the command copy and command. Okay, so I was telling you that I'm waiting, like I got the shipping notice that my hardcover books, and I'm gonna open the box in front of y'all. I don't know what day they're gonna arrive here, but I'm super excited about that, and they will be in bookstores next year. But I have a few surprises when I get the hard copies. But until then, if you want a free copy of my ebook, you can read it on your computer, on Kindle, whatever else. Just go to my website, SuzannaQuintana.com. It's also on my Facebook page, and get your free copy. Then finally, before I leave you today, oh yeah, so there's my website. And then before I leave you today, I told you yesterday that I opened up a couple more times, just because once I started doing these Facebook Lives, you know, people really started filling up my calendar, which is awesome. I love talking to all of you. But I do offer complimentary calls if you just want to, you know, talk to somebody who's been there, done that. Like I said, got the t-shirt. Oh, I got lots of t-shirts. Yeah. You know, just set up a, you know, I like I said, I opened up a few more times. I don't know if there's any left for tomorrow, but definitely on Monday and Tuesday, I think there might be a couple. So what have you got to lose? Let's talk. Tell me your story. I'm here for you. Bonnie, we do not have an event here in Phoenix yet. It's not on the schedule. So, but if you go to that link, you'll see all the upcoming events. Okay, Facebook people, all you beautiful survivors, thrivers, overcomers. I will end, as I always do, with just want to say that if you are, to all of you who are still struggling, for all of you who are in pain right now, I know what that's like. And even if you're somewhere on the journey, or you just started this journey of recovery and healing, and you still have one foot in the darkness, which is understandable, you're not alone. You're going to get through this. It's the hardest, it's the worst thing you'll ever do. And the hardest thing you'll ever do, but so incredibly worth it. Take it from me, the gal who made it to the other side, made it to the top of the mountain, made it over the rainbow, made it to the shore. And now I'm throwing the life preserver out for any of you who are still drowning. Okay. We'll talk tomorrow. We're going to talk about how did we get here, and address that stupid ass question, why did she stay? Yeah, we're going to address that. We're going to talk about that. Okay. All right. Ciao, ciao to all of you. And I'm sending you all strength and love and the hope of a narcissist-free world. I know that's kind of a pipe dream, but yeah, that's my hope. Okay, bye.